That brings us to the Zohran Mamdani moment we're having, as it looks like all political betting markets are showing that he is likely to win mayor of New York, and the fallout and conversation that ensues is kind of cutting a few different ways. So if you haven't been tracking the New York mayoral race closely, that makes sense, because guess what? It is New York City. It is one of the more significant political figures that's not on a national scale, but at the end of the day, it's a city. If I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, I don't know why I would care about what's going on in New York City, and I think it's fair if you don't. I think essentially the people who care about it are, one, people who live in New York, two, people who care about progressive politics and want to see a candidate actually run a campaign correctly. Three, people who want to say he's, a communist or a terrorist. And then four, people who like to say his name because it sounds like a minor league second baseman, a Zohran Mamdani. And I think that's essentially it. Now, the general gist of the race is Zohran is running a considerably left of center campaign. People drag up things from his past. He, during the George Floyd moment, tweeted out some stuff about kind of all cops being racist, and the NYPD is not such a fan of that. He has backed off that, which I think is appropriate. He was just like, yeah, here's why I said that, but I don't believe that, and it was wrong. Great, nice. Reasonable. You can do that, actually. I guess people forgot that you can just be like, yeah, I actually, it was a moment. I don't believe that, and I've learned. Crazy concept. But it's become a national flashpoint because he's far left, okay? And people on the right see that as he's a communist, he's going to ruin your city, he's going to hollow out the police force, he's going to drive out the rich people, you're going to live in a complete hellhole. And people on the left are saying he's actually a Democratic candidate who didn't tack to a Democrat line, who isn't, crazy backed by corporate donors, who has new, different ideas that are about helping working class people and may not be able to get all of them through because when the rubber meets the road and you have to deal with people, the governor of New York. Let's remember we're talking about a mayor here. I think really what it shows, regardless of your ideology, is a couple things. One, a relatively young candidate who can speak in complete sentences does have a shot in modern day society. It's a crazy concept. It's something we should consider. Relatively young candidate, complete sentences, not a history of political baggage aside from old tweets. It works. It's a reasonable idea. Two, a candidate who's capable of staying on message, whether or not you agree with his policies. People have tried to drag him into, what do you think about Israel, Gaza, all these things, and he's addressed things a little bit, but he says, let's talk about pocketbook issues, working class issues, the economy. He's okay with reaching out to Trump voters, unlike a Katie Porter figure, a story we didn't cover. Look it up if you want to see a lady freak out over that. Really what I think it shows is a simple theory of politics that I don't know if a lot of people understand because we all get caught up as prisoners of a particular moment. And there's a reason for that. The world, quite simply, is a big fucking mess. It's kind of the point of talking about these crazy crypto scams that are getting worse and worse, mixed with AI. No one knows where it's going to go. Old people are confused. It's a goddamn wild world out there. Okay, and you better watch your booty because someone's trying to fuck you in the ass. A little bit. It's a wild world out there. Anything is possible at any time. You could be on top of the world. Someone's coming for that ass. Okay? The world is always a mess. And the person who promises to clean that up in a way that makes sense to the most people will win an election. It's not, in my opinion, actually about policy because the average voter is not paying much attention to it. It's the TLDR of political life. And if things aren't going well, the main thing you have to do is isolate why you think that is and how you can help. And you got to be very specific and cut through so that people are paying attention. Do I think the average New Yorker leans communist, contrary to what people in Texas believe about New York? No, I don't. Do I think they lean towards things are getting really fucking expensive and Cuomo, who couldn't even win a Democrat primary, running as this old school establishment figure, just trying to tell me this guy's evil who's trying to say make buses cheaper is going to work? Yeah, probably not. There's a lot of crossover, believe it or not, in the Zohran and Trump audience. And the Trump people can pretend that he's a full-on crazy lunatic communist who wants to ruin New York, and that'll be their messaging. But the main reason that Trump won is because he also ran against establishment Democrats. He beat Hillary Clinton, and then he beat Kamala Harris in a situation where it seemed like she was running on an old Biden agenda and people didn't even vote for her. It felt to people in both cases like Trump was running against corporate interests. Were people right? Obviously not. Trump may be running against some establishment interests, but they're only in the interest of his own corporate interests. But still, he seemed to speak for the common person because the common person isn't actually paying attention to any of this shit. So Zohran, I think, will win. But I also think that the takeaways and the attacks and what people are going to try and say about him and try and take away from it, as usual, will likely be a little bit wrong when all he's doing is telling people, hey, shit's fucked up and I think I can help. And if he takes over and shit remains feeling fucked up, then someone who has a different ideology will come in and do the exact same thing. Because the world is a big fucking mess, and the more you can tell people why it is and what specifically you're going to do to fix it, the more they'll listen. Now, that is a lesson that I hope people can learn for the right reasons in the right way. Because we're also seeing an increased rise in crazy fucking shit. People feel like shit's very out of control, and their reactions to it are getting really intense. That's why populist candidates can win on the left, on the right. And they can go further and further and further and further until we're in a really crazy place, unless we get people in charge who can do a decent job of fixing some things and bring down the temperature. Because at the end of the actual day, nobody really wants to fucking care about politics. They want shit to feel fine so they can go back to their family or their not family and just get drunk and hang out and fucking vibe. Because all this shit kind of sucks anyway. So if he wins, I hope he does a good job, but understand why it is that he's actually winning, and don't let them tell you he's a fucking terrorist or a communist. Listen to what he has to say. Say, yeah, some of this makes sense to me, some of it maybe not, and find out if there's another candidate you'd actually want. And guess what? It's probably not going to have the last name Cuomo.